This is Jason Metalchondria here with Dallas of Narcotic Wasteland. Thank you very much for your time. And so I found out that you started this band about 2011 with Edwin, I believe, or this is your project?
It was like 2010 or 2011. Me and Ed had been talking about doing something for a long time. We jammed in some bands together with Mr. Corcione over there back in the day, and actually me and Ed jammed in a couple of bands, and we always stayed in touch. We were really good friends, and you know, we were kind of the better guitar players in the area, and we just kind of joined. And you know, we grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and you know, we were trying to make some shit happen. You know,
and that was during when you were in Nile, and he was in some other. I saw some other bands he was in and everything. So tell me, so it just started that way, right? So you said good guitar player, between you and him and making something. So how did it really come to be in terms of like really taking that step to making this kind of death metal together, considering your previous stay with Nile? And just, I guess I'd like to hear a little more about how the music is made initially, like how to get started, like writing.
Well, you know, we would send each other tracks and stuff that we were working on. He's had a couple of other things he's done. That guy's probably written 1,000 songs at this point. So we were always just shooting ideas back and forth, and a lot of times just chatting late at night on like MSN Messenger at the time. And,
I remember.
And you know, and we were always, you know, just into music, into metal, and you know, he always had killer ideas, and he always liked my ideas. So, you know, and that's kind of where the thing started culminating a little bit. And the more we started working on this project, the more we realized we really wanted to take it to the stage. And you know, we've been through a few lineup changes since then. You know, we had a bass player, Chris Dupree, who was in there for a long time, did a great job, contributed a lot of killer ideas. And but we parted ways, and he's kind of doing his own thing, and then we kind of back with Chris, and it is, you know, just holding the pedal to the metal, man. I mean, everybody was kind of on lockdown there for a little while, and I was like, well, I'm going to start taking lessons and giving lessons, and I'm going to play a lot of guitar still, and I'm going to still practice the set list, and I'm still going to write new shit. So now we're sitting here, we're on tour right now, and we have like a shit ton of material, and we're just going to start releasing singles for a while, and then eventually put out an album.
What's it like at this point now? With, again, you left Nile and you're doing this now and other things, or this is your main band. So what's it like now having that amount of free time into Narcotic Wasteland? Has there been a difference in the material from the self-titled to Delirium? Has there been other differences that like helped unlock more like with the band? Because I'm sure it must have been hard to do tour with Nile when the band started, and then now that you're doing your own thing, there's so much more time, I would feel, right? Has that like changed either the direction of the music or again unlocked new things that you didn't maybe think about the band you could do before?
That's a very good question, and actually I think Narcotic in a way was already a little bit of an unlock, because while I love my good death metal albums, the ones that we all grew up with and stuff, I'm more of a thrash punk guy. So Narcotic was kind of a way for me to get that into the craft a little bit.
Okay.
Definitely some technical aspects. I don't see us as technical. I see us more as, well, yeah, they got some catchy shit, but you still need to have kind of chops to do it. And kind of the same thing with Nile, though. I mean, you know, like it was like viewed as technical death metal, but it was so much more than that. You know, like a lot of just good old classic rock elements. You know, like, and I'm probably going off on a tangent and don't even remember the original question at this point. But yeah, you know, Narcotic is a little bit more me specifically, I guess.
Yeah.
And we just jived, all of us, because
funny you say that you don't consider the material technical, like when you're talking with Nile, but the songs I remember growing up, then we found out later, like Multitude of Foes, Burning Pits of Duat, and Wind of Forest. Those are your tracks, and those were very vicious riffing, staccato, like the picking was strange, and then the hammer-ons were just so obscure, and we knew that was Dallas's material. So that into the next question: what is your actual playing style like? Because again, those are some of the things I remember hearing. Multitude of Foes made 22 years ago. That kind of the hammer-ons and the certain just picking structures and just sleight of hand with technique. I'm just curious about what your playing style like. Even I like to dive into like musical theory and technical things. So if you even want to like, even with different kind of language, like what is your playing style like? How would you describe it?
It's all over the place, and actually, since back then, when I joined the band Nile, and I had a song to bring to the table, my whole headspace was completely different.
How so?
Just what I was trying to achieve musically on the guitar had a little bit different, just a little bit different mindset about what I was trying to do. Now everything's, I hate to use the word relaxed because it's not relaxed, but a little more focused maybe. I really say that Multitude of Foes was sort of my introduction to doing a little bit of writing with the band. I was very happy with, obviously, with Carl's brings to the table. It was fun, great killer guitar work, great riffing, getting back to the whole rock and roll thing, it's just like, yeah, it's great to have all these killer chops, but you gotta have some actual, like, memorabilia in your playing too. You're not getting that connection. There's plenty of music out there that doesn't have that connection. That was what kind of separated us from the pack, and that's why I was actually interested in even joining the band to begin with. It's like, oh, these guys actually play fucking songs. Okay, I'm there. So that was just kind of an introduction for me, kind of getting used to everything and all that, and then next thing you know, like Execration Text, Wind of Forest, Last of the Slave Stick, all that other stuff just kind of happening, especially working with Carl's lyrics. It was just, the song was already written. I was like, oh, okay, cool, so we can come up with something like that, that I worked very well in that kind of capacity, and even if I have to sing it, we can figure it out, and make it right. I enjoy all that. That's what I enjoy about creating with this band too, like just that whole thing of some killer ideas and just figure it out,
And you mentioned like too, like I think for Annihilation the Wicked at least, only reference now because that's when like I think we really heard how you sang and how you were as a frontman in terms of vocals and like your style, that twang, and that like that's that like if I close my eyes and you play me a like a vocal part and I know it's Dallas, like we know it's Dallas, and I think that was helpful to have such a distinct in the beginning, and then now hearing both records, like we can hear all of his vocals, we can hear a lot of his guitar riffs, so it really seems that like this is really your project. And just like tell me about like going from doing vocals and then doing big vocals in another band, now doing completely the frontman things. Do you enjoy it? Like you're fine with singing? That was the plan the whole time? You want to just do all the vocals and be the frontman with presenting your riffs and presenting your vocals as well?
Well, not really, because I don't know if you noticed tonight, but our drummer Joseph does a good bit of the vocals.
Yeah, that's insane.
And in Nile, they were already, when I joined Nile, was Carl and Chief as the vocalist.
Right.
And they were already doing it, and I said, well, if you guys want to slide me some lines, because every band I had been with previous to that, Chris can tell you, because he was in my band, I was the singer. You know what I mean? I was the guy, because I could never find anybody else to do it. So I was like, well, I can kind of do it, and and back then we actually sang. That's how long ago that was.
Right.
So, it was just a thing, and I was like, well, I can do a few, but when I joined, I was really just wanted to play guitar. I was trying to not do that. And then I just realized it was a blessing instead of a curse. And, different things happened in the Nile thing, and, the lineup changes and all that, and we were just like, well, we'll just, you don't take 20 minutes to do 5 words. You just go in there and do it. Right. So I was the guy, and that's how that happened. It's like, and that's because I've been playing and singing as long as I've been playing. I've been singing and playing guitar since I was 13 years old. And a lot of people, now I'm going to be 48 this year, a lot of people don't have that kind of experience.
Right.
I never stopped. So, it's about versatility, but it's not just one thing. And it's not just another thing. It's actually a merging and kind of, when you learn to sing and play guitar at the same time, it's a singular expression. That's the only way you're ever going to be able to do it, because if you're concentrating too much on this one thing, then you're going to lack on this other thing, and vice versa. It's fucked. It's fucked. But I'm always the guy that can do it.
And also with the vocals in terms of the lyrics too. So the lyrics I feel have this like tongue-in-cheek, sometimes with a song title, sometimes with the titles themselves. Talking about widespread narcotic wasteland, addicted to junk, pharma culture. So there's this theme and concept about what people will do. It seems like for drugs, and people will step over people to get their fix of things. Is that an experience either growing up in North Carolina that people around you, or maybe you personally experienced something, or where do the concepts of those tongue-in-cheek, very specific lyrics, where do those come from?
Yeah, some of us view it as tongue-in-cheek, but actually a lot of those actually happened. Actually there, but we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves and just talk about that thing. That was just one sort of occurrence that, happened to all of us. Everybody's got their wasteland, whatever city you're in. It's a big wasteland, especially when you start talking about how pharmaceutical drugs and this fentanyl shit and all the stuff that's going on right now. Dude, you're better off doing cocaine, okay? And I don't do that shit. But I have done it before. And I'm just going to tell you that you're better off. That's like the worst thing, weeds. We shouldn't even be talking about that.
Agreed. It's better in every single way.
Yeah. But as far as the whole concept, some of the lyrics reflect my own personal problems with alcohol. But this new stuff that we're working on now is kind of branching away from that. Probably because I've been reading a lot about just criminal behavior and stuff like that. So we got a lot of the single that we just released, Morality is Lost.
Yeah.
It's basically about, very self-serving, narcissistic behavior in our politics, and people we thought were friends, people we thought were girlfriends, whatever. There's this inherent thing that you just, all of a sudden, a veil is unlifted and you don't know this person anymore. There's some asshole that you fucking hate all of a sudden, and you used to love that, And so, we don't want to get, the name of the band is Narcotic Wasteland, but we're definitely going to write about a bunch of other shit. We have there's another couple of songs that's coming out on the new album that is about actually a couple of Forensic Files episodes that I watched.
Okay.
And so there was always that element. Even in the first album, we wrote about South Carolina's Donald Henry Gaskins, and he's a disgusting ass motherfucker, but he kind of made me. I understood why he is who he is because I grew up in the kind of same climate as he did. So I see why he became a serial killer and did horrible shit and how he started. Please read The Final Truth, Donald Henry Gaskins. That will give you a great insight on that song, which I wrote in a night. Actually, I read the book during the day, and I went to my fucking studio and wrote the goddamn song, and that was it. And it's just like one of those things. And but yeah, so yeah, we'll always write about certain drug shit because it's a big thing right now. And I like to keep us talking about current events. Now, yeah, definitely in the earlier days, like keeping up with the Jones instead of keeping up with the Jones, there was a little bit of tongue-in-cheek there. Well, that's kind of fading away now. We're getting a little bit more, I hate to say serious, because that just doesn't sound like, you know, but we kind of are, you know, and getting our focus. I mean, the debut release was kind of a garage band sort of thing, and then Delirium was a little bit more focused. And then now it's getting even more so, but I think in a way it's getting more thrashy and fast with the guitars. And the drums are just a little bit slow because I feel that, okay, we've all heard blast beats and all that shit, and it's fucking great, I love it. But it's time for the guitars to bear the weight of the speed a little bit more. So that's kind of where I've been going with that.
You can manipulate tempo so much by doing fast guitar parts, and the drums don't have to blast to be fast. I absolutely agree.
Dude, if I'm playing perfectly palm muted 16th notes at 210 BPM, it's gonna sound massive. You know, it's gonna be fast as fuck, and the drummer's just gonna be like,
right.
you know, and that's still like, just, you know, we don't want to get stuck in any direction. You know what I mean? And this next album coming out is going to really reflect like our expansion of our sound, like.
And I agree, because with the first album, like, it sounded treble heavy, like there wasn't, like you said, like garage like type of style, like it was more treble heavy. It was, you know, very like
mid-range.
Yeah, yes. And then the same thing with Delirium a little bit, and now the Growling and the Wasp, like it sounds like overall the bass, the drum, like everything sounds like you said, serious but really well balanced. Like the first, like something like really in that direction, and with all of how you write and how you play, I think that's a good pigeonhole, I guess, in that way, so the band can, you know, can evolve musically and everything. So how's the writing process? So basically, does each person who, so the guitar players write the guitar parts, does the drummer write? So what is the actual writing process like? You write the lyrics, like how does that kind of go with the band?
Well, basically, just due to survival in this particular climate where you can't find the best guitar player or the best whatever down the street, that album, the first album, was written mostly just me and Ed, drums and everything. And we would say, hey, here's a song. Learn it. Or, you know, whatever. Do you like it? You know? And, you know, man, fucking killer, you know? So that's how that was going. And for the first album, Ed wrote the song Addicted to Junk, and I pretty much wrote the rest. I wrote the lyrics for Addicted to Junk, and Ed wrote some brilliant fucking solos for everything. And then that's what I'm excited about too, because his new album, he's actually writing a bit more.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, I'm excited to hear, for everybody to hear what we got now, man. It's like a real expansion on everything.
Because I said earlier in the interview that we're very obviously aware about your style and how you play and everything with Niall, but with him, you can imagine like people won't be quite as familiar. So I would really like to know which parts, or what does Ed like incorporate the most, or what is he like when I hear a Narcotic Wasteland song, which parts or which like moments are Ed's? What is his style like?
A lot of the solo work.
Even the fast and melodic, so you're like the rhythm guitar player almost.
Yeah, I've always been a little bit more of a rhythm guy. If you hear me play a solo, it's going to be more on the melody side. Like, for instance, Brett, he's doing a great job. So he played the Ed solo tonight. And then we broke into an Introspective Nightmares. We broke into the harmony together. I wrote the harmony.
Okay.
So I'm kind of more like that.
Okay.
And I mean, I can rip leads, and I've done solos, guest solos, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like the rhythm guy that screams at people. You know?
I mean, that's how I noticed. I've been noticed for years when you pick, like your picking hand is so different the way you pick too. So I think that's how we would incorporate how like people into rhythm. We like how John Schaefer would play guitar rhythm wise, and how I see you play. You play very sometimes, at least before, your rhythm hand would be very different the way you pick. So I think that's where like rhythm. I can see how rhythm would be especially important, especially as a front man too. Right?
Well, yeah, you know, and actually what happened with it is that back then I had more of what they call the strong arm technique, where you look at this table right here. So imagine that was my guitar back then.
Right.
So my hand would be up like that.
I remember distinctly, yeah.
I think I just developed more strength overall, and now I just kind of have the guitar down here, and it's right there. And I just hit a speed and cleanliness cap with it, the other technique, and then I just reworked it. I've reworked my picking style like 5 times since I've been playing. You know, I think a lot of guitar players would be like, yeah, I've been playing for 30 years and I've been through a bunch of different shit now. You know, I think a lot of guitar players are in the same boat. You know?
Is it more rewarding, or is it more of a pain overall to get to that level that you want to get to? Like, do you have to do that? Do you have to go through that in order to find what ultimately works best for you in the music?
I think so. I mean, everybody's going to adjust. Like, you have a certain sound for a while, and then all of a sudden one day you're just like, and it's not really quite the tits. You know what I mean? And then I'm not blowing. My dress is not blown up right now. You know, like I need to figure this out. You know, and anybody who cares, you know,
I'm one of them.
is going to try to improve. You know,
Right.
And that goes across the table. I mean, that's what we're here to do. Is like, man, fuck the fame and the fortune and all that. You know, it's for me. It definitely is a musical journey, and I want to, you know, play the best guitar I can and write the best songs that I can and all that stuff. And that's really where it's at. And I'll do it on whatever level I can. You know, whether it's like, you know, actually, I'm so thankful that I have an opportunity to tour. You know, that's great. That's great. People are actually digging it, and it's working. You know, so I'm happy for that. But if it wasn't, I'd do it anyways on a local level or whatever. I mean, I'm always going to play music, man. This is what I do. It's what I've always done since I was 10 years old. I've been doing nothing but music, and I've done a bunch of other shit like electronics and fucking forklifting and all this other bullshit. But this has always been the main focus.
And so just real quick, this is my 4th show in a row, like 4 days in a row. Today the show, yesterday Carcass Immolation, Sunday Dying Fetus, and then Saturday Hypocrisy. So I say that because shows, if you noticed, I mean, it's a Tuesday night, pretty good crowd for a Tuesday. Yesterday, Monday was really good. Sunday, Dying Fetus almost sold out the Observatory on a Sunday. So shows are coming back. Oh no, that was.
I love those guys, man. They're really doing a great job, and I'm so happy that, especially for them and Immolation, man. They're some of the hardest working musicians out there, dude.
Absolutely.
It's paying off, and it warms my heart, man.
You love to see it, you know.
Oh, dude.
It's
yeah.
Oh, I know. Like Dying Fetus and that I've seen.
Absolutely.
I've seen them probably. That was probably my 8th or 9th time seeing them, and that might be one of the best times I saw them. They not only sounded amazing, but they played a really good set of rare tracks. Like they played Epidemic of Hate, they played Atrocious by Nature, songs they generally don't play, and they were on it. And that really, you notice that you don't have to play the hits to be successful. You can play some of the hits and then play the other really great tracks that the hardcore fans like you and I would know. And it just translated live. They were.
What?
He says he wants you to get the fuck out of the patio. Is that right? 5 minutes, and you're gonna gas us. Don't gas us. I'm on your side.
We appreciate them for sure. My other few questions, again, thank you for your time. So again, with that question, so now I appreciate it. Thank you. So with that said, all these shows are coming up and all these big festivals and things. So what would you like to do? What would the band like to do? Is it to get on the right tour, as many good opportunity tours? Like, is it to tour as much in this time frame with all these good shows coming up, or waiting for the new record to be released? What would you like to do for the end of the year?
Well, we already have our year kind of planned out.
Okay.
And yeah, it's what we would like to do. But yeah, we have another tour. I don't have the full details on it yet, or have not been cleared to give all the details on it yet.
Fair.
But we have a tour coming up in October. We're pretty much going to be touring the whole month of October.
It's a U.S. tour?
Yeah.
Sweet.
And so we have that going on. But I mean, ultimately, I want to see us do whatever we can do. You know, I mean, whether just play a few shows, or we actually were lucky to play some shows in 2021. But yeah, I just want to see us, you know, be open to any opportunity to play a show. And also just keep our heads down and think about what we need to do next, or what we want to do next, you know. I just keep it that way. I mean, try to keep things. I'm a simple kind of guy, so yeah. And I think that's where it's at. But yeah, I mean, I think any band just wants to. That's really serious about it. Just wants to do it as much as possible. So, yeah. And for me, if that means, you know, whatever, you know. Oh yeah, well we're gonna play this show, and okay, cool, I'll do it.
and with this band, so with Brett, and then Joseph's your drummer, I believe his name is, right?
Yeah.
Joseph. So is the he's been a session drummer, he's been a live drummer for a little while. Is this right now the lineup? Basically the lineup for the foreseeable future.
Definitely Mr. Corcione over there. I've known him since I was 17 years old.
Right.
He never stopped playing either. He had some other shit. I mean, he was in the Army for 20 years. But I think, well, Joseph and him are definitely 100% we're going to do this full forward. For the new album, we actually have Eric Schulte doing the drums, which he did the first album.
Okay.
Yeah. And he did the production on the latest Morality and the Wasp. So the next album is we're going to be working with him, and then, you know, Joe has already written and contributed some lyrics and some drumming ideas and all kinds of stuff too. So on the next cycle, then it's going to be me, Chris, and Joe, and Ed. Ed always has Ed's welcome to come out and play anytime he's ready.
Okay.
Yeah. Until then, we got Brett, and Brett's 100% on. He's doing a great job, and he also has a killer fucking band called Eight Vermin that you need to check out.
Eight Vermin?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we love jamming with Brett. He's got a lot of mojo to his playing, and we didn't want or me personally, I did not want the typical arpeggio god or whatever. No, he's got some soul to his playing, man, and you know, we kind of need that.
And with your drummer Joseph, I've learned the past couple of years, drumming. As long as I've been listening to metal, drumming now has been more open my eyes. Like now, I pay attention to drumming, watching drum videos, like more than ever. So I'm always fascinated to talk about drummers, especially a drummer who can sing and play like that, which is just bonkers. Any drummer who does like Def Leppard drumming and singing, I praise. Doing that is just insanity. What would tell me about what makes his drumming style unique and special for Narcotic Wasteland, and just a little breakdown of how he plays.
Well, the cool thing about Joe is that he's definitely kicking ass on the drums, and he's solid and he's tight, and he shows up to rehearsal and he just plays the shit, and it's great. And it's like, but there's a lot more to Joe than just that. He's actually an extremely creative person, and as far as his drum work, and now he's showing out some lyrics. We played a song called Victims of the Algorithm tonight.
That was a new one, right?
Yeah, he wrote the lyrics to that song.
Oh.
And the song that's what the song was supposed to be about anyways. And I was like, well, I've got this stuff, but I'm kind of not totally happy with it yet. And I've even heard on the internet I'm not the greatest lyricist in the world, and I don't care because I'm a punk. Because it's not supposed to be great. Like, you know, fucking read some Iron Maiden lyrics and tell me that they're better.
Right. Yeah. At the point of the band,
I don't care how much research you did. I mean, come on, whatever. Anyways, it was something that really hit home, and so I think the future of Narcotic Wasteland, creatively, there's going to be a lot of Joe and a lot of me. We're kind of the backbone at this point, and we just hit it off right away, man. And he's kicking ass, doing a he's just a fucking rock star. You know? He's a great guy. He's super cool to be around. Very pleasant guy, super sweet, but very creative and very smart. And I'm lucky to have finally found, you know, the guy. You know, like I'm real excited about what's going on right now.
That's great. And that
Yeah.
what, is the album going to be released this year? Is that the plan?
Yeah, it'll be a little later. We're gonna start releasing singles. We already released Morality. We just cut video material for Victims of the Algorithm, which will be the next single, which will also be an actual video. And then we have another song that's slated to be. We've got it all lined up. But the album will come out. But we're gonna release some singles first. And just play for a while.
And my last question is with one thing that I think you said that, like, you know, people are coming to these shows is that, you know, we know your work from Nile, but it's the contribution and your overall, you know, vocal ability, your guitar ability, your persona, and who you are that people I feel gravitate towards and like to see you play something, you know, that's your own, that's different and unique. What did you learn the most in your time with them? Because you were there for 20 years, give or take?
Yeah.
What did you learn the most being in Nile and then taking that into this band, your life and everything, you know, doing things, you know, on your own? Like I'm saying, you know, with the sole amount of your decisions are yours. What have you learned the most from your experience then, and even, you know, peaks and valleys now, like even good times, bad times? Like what have you learned in this past time? You know what I mean? I'm just...
Yeah, well, I would have to say that I've learned a lot, and, you know, the Nile gods are still going, and bless them, they, you know, I'm so glad that those guys are still going and kicking ass, and we all learned a lot, and that's one of the biggest reasons, I think, why all of us were here and that we were succeeding in kicking ass, and whether it was just the craft itself, we were making progress in something. And I think what I probably learned overall, but I kind of inherently knew even before all that, was that is what it's about. It's about writing these cool songs and staying on top of your game. And if you got an opportunity to actually present that in a live situation, then fuck yeah, just go for it. You know, that's what I loved about being in that band. It was like nobody else had the fucking balls, you know, and they did it. And they did it. And you see what happened, you know.
Great.
And so, you know, I'm very lucky to have been a part of that. And, you know, I think that was the biggest lesson. I think it's the biggest lesson for anybody and anything you're trying to accomplish. Don't be afraid. It seems crazy. It seems, you know, yeah, it seems like fucking crazy. But just lay into it, man. Just do it. Do what you want to do, and things will happen, man. You know? And it did. And that's like direct proof of some guys that got together and said, fuck all this other bullshit. Like, actually, for real, said, fuck it. And, you know, all kinds of hardships and all kinds of bullshit went down, and it was still there. And it was like, that was number one. And then eventually everyone was like, oh, yeah, okay. I see why you did that. You know? And I'm real happy that all that happened, you know, because that was what everybody really wanted. And we were right, you know? And there's always, you know, if you're a musician playing in bands, there's always going to be those guys that they're 100 fucking %, or they're not and they don't get it, but they like to play. That's okay. You can go play. Do you want to play as much as I do? Probably not. Yeah, and that's the separation right there. And Nile wants to play, and they're gonna fucking play. It's a machine, you know, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And we're a machine now too.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Like, yeah, dude. You know, and that's what it's all about. It's about, but you know, the end result is you've gained a lot of knowledge, and you can't really just press it down into one thing. But that was probably the biggest one that everybody learns about everybody, is that who's willing to fucking put their dick on the table and actually do the shit, you know? And they did it. And we did it again. And they're doing it again. And everybody's still doing it. Because we have our dicks out. It's all about the phallus, right? The whole doll thing.
Right.
Yeah, man. And that's fucking awesome.
I'm glad to hear that. Any last words you'd like to say for tonight and for the rest of the year, for the rest of the fans, and looking forward to what's coming up with Narcotic Wasteland?
Well, we have more touring going on, and we're going to be dropping an album, and we got more singles on the way and all that stuff. And just thank you. You know, like, I couldn't be more appreciative of everything going on, even if you don't like what I do. Thanks for going to shows and keeping metal alive, because there's all kinds of different flavors out there, and you know, I'm just happy that you like one of them or 10 of them or whatever. You know, just thank everybody, you know, for keeping this shit right, because you know, this is not your typical music.
It's not. It's uncomfortable music, and I like being uncomfortable, and that's what this is. It's being uncomfortable and fun to yourself, looking into the mirror, you're good and you're bad in life, and with extreme music. And that's why I gravitate towards it personally.
Yeah, man. You know, it's in the face. It's right in your little hostile face or whatever. You know, and yeah, man, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's a great fucking life, and it's a great sort of approach just to everything. If you're a musician and want to get better on your instrument and all that, I'm never gonna get good, but I'm gonna get better. Yeah.
I got you.
That's the attitude right there.